What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UNBOXXD podcast. My name's Cody. I'm your host. I'm joined by my magnificent co-host, Christopher Boats. Chris, how are you?
Good, man. Good. We got some exciting things to tell people about.
You ready to tell people about what's going on?
Yeah.
It's like a thing.
This is huge news.
This is huge news.
So obviously, the last time we recorded, it was our first time in doing episodes in this new podcast room. But we've decided that we're going to take it way more seriously. You know, we've been so inconsistent with our posts, which has caused issues because, you know, there are some current events that we really need to talk about or stories that we need to talk about. But if it's going to take us 2 weeks to post, it kind of defeats the purpose. And it's caused somewhat of an issue.
Somewhat of an issue. The neat thing about that, though, too, is like we're talking about something today that's been going on for the past 2 months that we've wanted to talk about. And we would have been early and right. But now we're late and right, which we'll talk about too. It's that kind of that time gaps only made us even more truthful and relevant and proven, which is good, which is a good thing. But anyways, go.
So we brought on producer Robbie full time,
Pastor Rob.
So we're gonna be really growing our presence on pretty much every social media platform you can think of.
Rumble, TikTok.
Yep.
There's so many of them. Rob has it all. You'll see all of the different handles. He's gonna put them in the video, which is super exciting. We have a tight schedule, which is exciting.
So weekly episodes.
We'll be
on everything from TikTok to Instagram, doing little reels, short clips.
All leading up to a new podcast every single week. So that's our promise to you. And we hired Rob full time, which is exciting. He is the boss now. He is the producer. We just come in, and our job is to bring you guys great content that is well researched and ultimately is current as of right now. So you can hear our thoughts, our opinions, our how we look at these types of things, because we know you're interested because you're watching it right now. Exactly. So which is cool, fresh right off the rip, which is cool.
Yeah. So when you see that, see these little clips on your Instagram or these reels or these posts on TikTok, just forward them, share them to your buddies if you agree with what we think, or even if you don't, share it or respond, and we're happy to discuss.
And we promise to bring you guys the most relevant information we possibly can in the best way that we know how. Give you our candid and upfront opinion. You might not like it, you might not like us, but ultimately we're just here to tell the truth.
Yeah,
and unbox things. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point, is unbox things. And I think we're going to plan to start bringing on some guests.
Yes.
So we got to figure out the logistics of that, but have someone, perhaps of differing opinions, that we can just discuss.
Hopefully we don't gang up on them. I'm just kidding. Probably will happen.
We probably will happen, but we'll try. We'll try to remain unbiased and open-minded. I think we always do. And we're full time, baby. We're full time.
UNBOXXD podcast, another episode. We're excited. We're talking about something that's been on our minds for quite some time, that you and I are pretty passionate about, that are very long on, meaning we know quite a bit about. So this is going to be maybe a lengthier podcast, which is exciting. But please, again, check us out. Stay tuned. Hold us accountable. We're going to hold each other accountable. And we're going to blow this thing up. And look, we can't do it without your help. The reality is, without you sharing, without you posting, without you supporting us, we are not going to be able to get the word out, or at least do what we're doing. And by the way, we're not like, what do you do? Why are you doing this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's give the people some thought.
I'm not doing it for fame or clout or anything like that. I'm doing it because I think that these are the things that people are often too scared to talk about.
Correct.
I think that, but there are a lot more people that actually support this as well.
Yeah.
So we're just the voice for those that I think are oftentimes too quiet, or just don't have the time or the energy to actually research some of these things, but are curious and care about what's going on in our country and our world.
Yeah, if you don't have a opinion about something, you'll fall for anything. I think of that. I think about spineless human beings that see things and they just live their life on this autopilot and they just don't say anything. It's, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. They don't want to confront anybody. And you got to think, like, not comparing us to Jesus Christ by any means. I know we're going to do a podcast on faith, which is exciting. We have strong faith in our Lord and Savior. But, you're a lion for and you're a lamb with. You're tough for people and you're tender with. Like, you might think that Chris and I are out, maybe Chris, I'm just kidding. But maybe you might think that we're out like in public beating our fists and telling people our opinions and you need to fucking tell me I'm right and you don't know what you're talking about. That's not the case. This is our outlet. This is our, hey, this is how we think of these things. This is what we feel about X, Y, and Z. This is our research that we've done. We're not out at fucking dinner with a bunch of our friends bringing this stuff up and crushing people.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think people think that of us that don't know us.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's not the case.
I think the other reason too is, I mean, it's a really cool record of this time in our lives too.
Yes.
And kind of our ideas at this particular age. Because eventually, you know, we want to have families. You have some exciting things going on.
Yeah,
man.
man.
We can dive into here in a sec.
Yeah.
But it's something that you're gonna be able to show them. This is this is my beliefs. And if some, God forbid, were to happen to you, I think it's pretty damn cool that those that love you can actually see what your ideas were.
Well, eventually that's the internet keeps a good record of everything, right? Which is cool. It's never been done before, and social media is relevantly new. But at some point, all of us expire and all of us aren't here at some point. You think legacy long term, like how cool is it that dad, you know, used to be on a podcast with his buddy and used to talk about current events when it wasn't popular. How cool was it that they even had the cojones, the balls, the moxie, the grit, the wherewithal to even go through these things, talk through these things, understand they might be wrong, understand they might be right, understand that they might have a hot take here or there, and ultimately that might hinder some things in the future. But you know what? We all make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's cool.
That also kind of the point of also doing this is, I think it's kind of, you know, the idea of burning the ships. You know, the army that burns their ships, they're going to be so much more fierce. And it's kind of, you know, we started our own companies, we're doing our own things. And I promise you, if we were to go back to like the old company we were at and interviewed, they would find these podcasts. And the people doing the hiring aren't going to like it. So my point is, it's almost, it's almost burning the ships. It gives us no other option but to continue to succeed and grow.
To work for ourselves.
and work for yourselves and have and believe in what you believe.
Yeah, could you imagine like us like fucking just burning the ships and failing? And then going to like Intel and being like, but I can sell more. What is this? Company. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, man, you know, we stand for American values. At this organization, which is the Salescast Unboxed Organization LLC, which we're a part of. And we stand for American values, and we're always going to fight for what's right. And, you know, you got to always tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. And that's something that Andy Frisilla and Sal Frisilla says quite a bit as leaders inside of their organizations and in life. And that's what we try and do too.
I love it.
You think of legacy, you're right, man. Like you think about kids and stuff, like Chloe's moving up here. Super exciting to get to that, which is cool. Literally this weekend. Crazy. Her daughter, Ellie, you know, she's going to be able to see these kinds of things, which is cool. Maybe her and I are planning on having kids eventually. So that's the point. I know you and Danielle, we talked about something exciting this morning.
I forgot. What were we talking about? Oh, the ring. Stop. So I just,
which is exciting things.
So,
but you also have something. We've been talking about this flip for a long time.
So anyways, this flip I was doing, which I've shared about, we fell in love with the house, turned out incredible. We loved the neighborhood. So I ended up buying it. It's a perfect next chapter house. But what I kind of related to this podcast and the things we talk about is I had previously lived in Phoenix. And I was reading an article that now that Katie Hobbs apparently has actually won, and we don't know what's going to ever if anything's going to happen to that. I don't have any faith because we're a very corrupt state and our judicial system is very corrupt.
Dude.
But apparently Katie Hobbs has agreed to be taking homeless people, shipping them from San Francisco to Phoenix. It's this idea that
hold on, what?
Yep. So they're shipping homeless people from San Francisco to Phoenix. So part of the reason I sold my Phoenix house and moved to Scottsdale is, I mean, with a matter of a few months, it has skyrocketed.
Yes.
You're on Thomas, you see it every single corner. It's wild. People screaming, yelling, homeless camps popping up. And it's because we have a Democratic mayor who, you know, part of doing your part is sharing the load of these homeless people and shipping them off to other democratically run strongholds. And it's really sad. So this new house that I bought is in Scottsdale, and it is awesome.
Incredible.
We're very happy. It kind of worked out.
Fucking incredible. And the cool thing is you had a hand in picking out everything. You basically customized the house.
And it prays for a lot more, so I made money. It is nerve-wracking. Obviously, we're in mortgages, so if rates jump to 12%, it's a big payment.
You're on a fixed sum. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, just in terms of income, my income.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
You know, so, but it's awesome. I'm
It
excited.
won't. Winners always win.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying?
I prayed about it. I said, listen, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. The loan was a little tricky because I'm self-employed now. So I was like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. So be it.
But it happened. Life happens for you, not to you.
Crazy, actually, that it happened.
It's awesome.
I can't believe it.
Well, congrats again, dude.
Yeah.
I got to come over and say what's up.
Yeah, dude. Please do.
I told you I'm going to cannonball in your pool.
It's cold, man. It's real cold.
Yeah, whatever. Speaking of cold,
yeah,
Ukraine's cold.
Ukraine is cold.
So we're excited to unbox Ukraine. And it's crazy because it feels like Pandora's box, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's an ever-going, ever-evolving story that we're finding. And really, it's February 23rd, 2023. As we record this, you'll probably see this towards the end of the month. In February, maybe even early March, we got a lot of shit to do. And producer Rob has a lot of stuff to do. But it feels like, if you just Google right now, Ukraine aid, which is something I did today, just real talk, getting prepared and going deeper, seeing what the most relevant stuff is. Everybody, liberal media, conservative media, is really, really pulling back the curtain. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that people are understanding that this is a corrupt situation. So Chris is going to talk a little bit about the history and why it's going on right now or what's going on. But Ukraine and Russia are in a war. And there's reasons behind it, and we're going to go through them. And like you said earlier, and I'm just stealing your stuff real quick, but dude, like, just so you know where we stand, like, it's terrible. Any loss of life is too much loss of life.
Life is sacred.
Yeah, it is. And there's, a lot. I read a count of 141,000 people
dead.
Yeah, that's what I read earlier. But you know how things.
Yeah, it's arbitrary. Yeah.
But again, with the corruption that's going on with this whole thing, maybe that's inflated by tenfold. I don't know. But regardless, we actually have firsthand accounts of people actually dying in this Ukraine war. And it's really, really sad. It's a country that is being taken advantage of, in my opinion, from multiple different assets. But there's a reason why they got into the war in the first place.
Yeah. So where to begin on this? Because it's kind of a complicated issue. So this has been really going on for decades. Mm-hmm. There has been, obviously there's the European Union and NATO, and NATO has been slowly expanding. In the last 2 decades, they've added about 13 countries, and Ukraine has been a country that has been on their list. Now, Ukraine borders Russia.
Right.
So the kind of issue that you run into is Russia, as we kept, pushing the boundaries, adding more countries and expanding our influence into other countries, Russia kept giving stern warnings.
We do not want
now Ukraine is not in NATO. And so basically and
Putin does not want Ukraine in NATO whatsoever, because it's an American ally, and America and Russia have never gotten along. Yeah. Ever. And they don't want Ukraine to be a part of NATO for a specific reason, of which I agree with.
It's on their border. I mean, it's on their border. So now I'm not defending Putin or Russia by any means. I think Russia is a propaganda machine that is actually infiltrating America and creating this woke ideology, which I think is intentional to weaken our society, as we've talked about a dozen times.
Yes.
That said, it's completely understandable that Ukraine, he does not want it to be American influenced, because that's a direct threat to their country. Similarly, if Russia was teaming up with Mexico and building bases there, what would America do?
Yeah, like in Tijuana. Just imagine, like in Tijuana, there's a fucking nuclear bomb base.
Correct. And then
America would be like, no, we're going to war.
And then additionally, if you actually study kind of the governments in Ukraine, what you'll come to find is that the United States, as we typically do, so neocons, neoconservatives, it's about expanding democracy to other countries throughout the world, but you do it through strength and through some sort of corruption. Well, the CIA, the president at the time, I'm forgetting his name.
Before Zelensky.
Before Zelensky was more so pro-Russia. So they were having peace deals with Russia. And
the reason for that too, and not a lot of people know this, but Ukraine has been having a civil war for years now, years and years and years. So half of the country has been pro-Russia and for Russia and wanted to become a part of Russia. And half of the country are more libertarians, if you will, or are the resistance, if you will, right? You have this civil war going on for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. and half of the country wants to join Russia and be, in the communistic society that is Russia and be under Putin, and the other half wants to be its own sovereign country.
Exactly.
So the ex-president of Ukraine before Zelensky was more pro-Russia, joining Russia, and you had this resistance, of which is the corrupt part of the country that Zelensky was a part of.
Exactly. So the CIA basically wanted to put in a different leader who was more so pro-America. And what they did is they turned on basically their propaganda machine. You got to understand how the media. So they started infiltrating Ukraine with propaganda.
This was like early
Russian
2000s.
President was this evil guy, just as they did to Trump, and we've seen him do to people. Is when they want to turn the switch and make you look bad, guess what? Everyone can look pretty darn bad if you highlight on certain things.
Every single human in the world.
So that was kind of our influence, and now we got a clearly pro the West and pro EU and pro NATO president in there,
of which Putin does not like, does not approve of. And like, real talk, guys, and this isn't like hearsay, this isn't bullshit. The guy, Zelensky, was a fucking movie star.
Yeah, he's an actor.
He is an actor. That's the point.
He's legit. He's not just like what we say, the guy's just an actor. He's just a puppet. No. He is legitimately a producer and actor.
That wore woman's clothing.
Yep.
There's videos. Dressed around. He is an actor. So much so, if you look at President Zelensky, God, it's even hard to call him a president. But President Zelensky of Ukraine, again, we stand with like the Ukrainian people that are in the war and fight. Like, it's shitty, and they're in the middle of it. They are caught in the middle of this bullshit. Correct. Just so we're clear. But this guy, when Trump was in office, and he was in office as well in Ukraine, and Trump wasn't playing that bullshit, Zelensky was wearing a goddamn suit and tie. Excuse my French. He was wearing a suit and tie.
Oh, yeah.
Now you got this propaganda and this war, and this guy's wearing fatigues all the time, like he's some fucking war hero. If you listen to his voice prior to them getting into war, it's very normal like ours. And now if you look at any interview with him, I'm Zelensky. And no, dude, he's a normal dude, and he's acting as if he's some warlord, commando badass, and he's fucking not. He's the furthest thing from it.
So true.
And it's just the media is just pulling on the heartstrings of all these people, and they're showing this Zelensky guy to be propped up as this incredible person, and all the while he's just pocketing all this. We'll get to it, but it's just like,
no, but you're right.
Insane.
But we've said this before too. Is when I am in a scenario, or there's a new narrative or new story that comes out, and the career politicians on the right and on the left agree on something. When you got McConnell and you got Hillary Clinton all saying, we stand with Ukraine, you got to question it because something's going on. There's an intentional narrative being pushed to make you feel that way. And it's always the heartstrings. As we talked about, the Black Lives Matter, no shit they matter.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I stand with Ukraine. Any human being would stand with Ukraine.
Of course.
We don't want anyone dying.
No.
But then you dive deeper into it, and what's happening, and where's the money going?
Where's the money going? Let's talk about that. Like their president. So you had their old president, then Zelensky. Now he's this puppet. Then you look at like our presidents right now, and it's go for it. Yeah.
Well, I think where we should start too, because this is really important. So most of you have probably the memory of a goldfish, but Donald Trump was impeached because he was on a call with Zelensky. And there was no what they call quid pro quo, right? Which means, you do something for me to get something back. Instead, he was asking Zelensky and saying, hey, there was no threat. I'm not going to give you aid if you don't do this for me. There was simply, can you look into Joe Biden's corruption? Because for those of you that don't know, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, had been working for a energy company of which he has no energy experience, getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a month just to be an advisor of an energy company
in Ukraine.
I wonder why. Is that not fascinating, right? Now,
so Trump
simply asked, hey,
I'll give you aid.
Just tell me if there's what corruption's going on, which as an American citizen, you should want to know that corruption is going on. If Biden had asked about Trump's corruption, I want to know.
Yeah.
If Trump's been doing corrupt shit, I want to know. And I like that. I supported Trump. But if corruption is corruption, it's unacceptable, right? Now, Joe Biden, if you can literally Google this, go to YouTube. Joe Biden, when he was vice president, he's sitting in a panel in front of all these people, and he is literally bragging. He's saying, I told the president of Ukraine that if he doesn't remove, there was a prosecutor investigating the company of which his son Hunter Biden was working for. They were investigating them for corruption.
Proven, by the way.
The prosecutor was a good guy trying to get out fraud, or get out corruption, which Ukraine claims we're trying to get rid of corruption. This prosecutor was actually doing it. And then Biden literally, he's bragging about this. He's like, I told him, I said, if you don't get rid of this prosecutor, I'm not going to give you $6 billion. Oh, you don't think so? I could call Obama right now and make it happen.
That's my point on YouTube.
You guys need to have standards. And whether it's your guy or the other guy, there needs to be some standard. You guys,
it's called values and morals,
Trump.
dude.
You tried to impeach him.
Line in the sand.
You try to impeach him for simply asking about the corruption, no quid pro quo. And then you have Joe Biden on video literally bragging how he withheld aid to Ukraine because unless they stopped the prosecution of the company his son was making money on, in which Joe Biden was getting money back to him. Which is a
quid pro quo.
You do something for me, so something happens.
So you look at who, and I'm just going to go on this narrative real quick as we're talking about it. Now you have... Let's talk about Donald Trump. So you look at Donald Trump specifically from 2016 to 2020. This guy is not a part of the good old boys club. He's not a career politician, and he's not somebody that plays ball with these people that are in bed with each other. These neocons, which is collusion, corruption, money, backdoor. He is not a part of it. He is the only president in United States history, if you look it up, at least over the last 2 decades, that their average net worth went down. Yeah. Now, you could say, well, it's because his investments went down because he went, no. It's because he gave his salary from being a president to charity. No. His shit went down because he wasn't willing to play ball inside of the neocons and corruptions that be.
Correct.
And they did everything they could, including a pandemic, a race riot, and 2 impeachments, everything they could to get him out of office so that they can continue their corruptions and neocons so that their these career politicians, including Joe Biden, so that they, for life, their kids, they have generational wealth.
Filthy.
Look at filthy fucking rich. Obama was worth, I think, like $7 million when he went into office. Now he's worth 77 or 100 million.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, look at his net worth pre and post.
It was 6 and now it's 50. My point. And that's
well, how do you make that much money? You're only making $400,000 a year as the president of the United States. So where the fuck is the money coming from?
And that's just what we know. I mean, so this is important too to dive into. Okay, so prior to this whole,
it was peaceful with Trump and there was no war. There was peace.
He was not corrupt, and then you guys ate up with the bullshit that was pushed to get the person actually in your corner. You guys, you crucified him. You burned him at the stake. Almost like a Jesus Christ thing. Is like you guys killed.
Hard to compare the two, but I agree. I know, dude. I know.
You get the metaphor. Yeah. But what's important though is, you've all heard of the industrial or military-industrial complex, right?
Yes.
So the military-industrial complex is the Raytheons, the weapons manufacturers,
Northrop Grumman,
these huge,
Boeing's even in there.
These huge companies. Now, guys,
Stark Industries.
I'd like to say one phrase. Yeah, this is important though. Peace is not profitable. So
go ahead.
Prior to Ukraine, Afghanistan was considered the money laundering capital of the world. It was
20
a war that
years.
went on for 20 years.
Why?
And it was about oil. It was about resources.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Correct. For bullshit, which turned out all to be false.
Bullshit.
But we kept it going. And then Saudi Arabia was where these politicians went to create shell companies that the IRS can never discover. And basically, they were taking your taxpayer dollars to give subsidies to these weapons manufacturers, pay them billions.
Yes.
So that they could get money going back to them. Lobbyists will pay them. These companies had backdoor things to their shell companies.
Or their kids, their brothers. It's all.
And this was the Bush. And Bush was a neocon. So I want you guys to understand, we're not
Republican.
We're not Republican.
Democrat.
I didn't like Bush. Bush was a neocon who put us in a fake war so that him and his family and his buddies could make billions of dollars. Guys, I am talking billions is what they're worth, if not
billions.
More. Like, we have no idea.
Your little celebrity net worth that you're looking this shit up on isn't going to show you that.
Exactly, right. And now, so 20 years later happens, and at the end of Trump's presidency, they're slowly taking things out. There hadn't been one casualty of war in there for like fucking 5 years.
There was some serious stuff and some shit that went on. So you ask yourself,
why did Joe Biden abruptly take us out? It's almost as if the money train of Afghanistan was running out. It was running out, just a little sputter. And you don't find it coincidental that the country in which his son happened to be well involved in the corruption and making millions of dollars, giving money back to the big man. You don't find that odd?
The big man, the emails from Hunter Biden's laptop.
That's the next conflict. And now we're in there. And again,
has to be a coincidence, Chris. I mean, there's no way, right?
I mean, you tell me, guys.
Afghanistan,
do you really
Ukraine,
think it's just coincidental?
Eerily similar. Correct. Eerily similar between the two. And now we're fighting this war of which we're challenging a world power that we fucking flat out don't want to challenge.
Yeah.
Because of money and greed. And we'll talk through the why, which is, what we're getting to, which is greed. But Afghanistan and Ukraine are very and eerily similar. And if you don't think that these people are so corrupt that look, Biden and his camp, this motherfucker is at the end of his life.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck if he sells us out. He doesn't give a, he wants his kids, his legacy, rich, money. That is what the whole point is.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Speaking of Afghanistan and Ukraine, we lost so much from an arms standpoint. We lost tanks and trucks and this and that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're giving all this money.
$3 billion or $30 billion?
$30 billion worth of shit.
That we left
at Ukraine. Or I'm sorry, in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So that's happening. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., we have this whole gun war, which we'll talk through. We have this 2A or Second Amendment rights controversy and media and push and pull and tug of war over people, the American people, who is our God-given right, and our founding fathers gave us a right to have and to bear arms against tyranny.
Yeah.
So we left a bunch of shit there. We're like, fuck it. We're not making any money in Afghanistan. Let's just pull the fuck out. Fuck these people. 13 people died. Fuck them.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker was at their funeral looking at his watch. Remember that? I'll never forget that fucking picture.
He's looking at, he wasn't doing that in Ukraine.
Wasn't doing that in Ukraine this weekend, which, interesting.
Well, and why is he in Ukraine this weekend?
Right. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there 100%. Okay. I want to talk through that because I'm pissed off about that. Yeah, and that's upsetting to me. But you think about, like I said, we left there. Now we're this whole, Biden's like, well, you take your AK or your AR, your assault automatic rifle weapons. He doesn't even know what the fuck it is. Yeah. So you want to take our guns, but then you give aid to Ukraine to then have them bear arms. So you arm Ukraine, you arm Afghanistan, but then you unarm us.
Correct.
Does that make sense to you guys? Because it seems a little hypocritical. And why would you be armed? You're armed in the face of tyranny. You're armed in the face of war. Well, the reality that you have to come to terms with is that we might be faced with war here. And you think it's going to be... History repeats itself.
For sure.
Right? And people don't understand that in history class, like we bombed Hiroshima. That was a real thing. We're the only motherfuckers that ever let off an atomic bomb. Do you know that? In history of human race, we dropped a nuclear bomb. We're the only ones. We're the people with the big stick that has already used the big stick. Yeah. And we're going to continue to use the big stick. Well, now everybody else has big sticks too.
Yeah.
So... you look through like Genghis Khan, you look through fucking Adolf Hitler, you look through like war repeats itself.
Yeah.
Tyranny repeats itself. Power repeats itself. And if you don't think like they will there's a Chinese spy balloon here, fucking they're all over the place. You don't think they're going to bring it to our seas and you're not grabbing your AR-15 and you're not fighting here on U.S. soil, you're crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're trying to unarm us, but then you're spending $128 billion of U.S. tax dollars that you and I pay and that you pay. $128 billion over the last year to Ukraine.
You want to hear something crazy?
To arm them.
Yeah, keep going.
To arm them, Chris, with tanks, guns, aid, random money. It's completely, there's no fucking oversight.
Yeah,
in any of it.
No oversight. You know what's crazy is I was reading that in Afghanistan, the entire 20-year Afghanistan war, we spent about $140 billion. We're at $128 billion in the first year. First year.
Do you think that the speed is because they want to do it and get the corruption out of the way and backdoor and loophole all this money back into their pockets? And I'm talking about career politicians, not just Joe Biden, by the way, because there's all kinds of people that are involved in this situation. Do you think they just want to get it done quick? They're like, fuck it. Let's do it right now before we go to World War III. Or do you think that it's like, fuck it, let's get it done right now because people are stupid? Look what we just did with COVID. Look what we just did with all these motherfuckers are so stupid.
Yeah,
look, oh, jingle, let's 128 billion, go. Like, I don't know. It's just like, why is it so fast?
I really don't know. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's 2 times more than the EU. So the entire European Union that, is a part of NATO and so on and so forth, they have only given Ukraine in aid, 60 billion. We've given 128. Why? Where's that going? What about the US, man? That's what I want to get to. Like, what about us? We used to be American first.
He's given retirements to the Ukrainian people where we're about to be losing Social Security. They're taking away our weapons, but then he's giving weapons. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And then I don't know if you guys knew this. So Ukraine there's something called the Corruption Price Index, and it's for like the top, 180 developed countries.
Yeah.
Ukraine is on the bottom of the list for historically being one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And we have now just given them billions of dollars with literally zero oversight. Funny story, prior to Zelensky, the previous prime minister, his wife was caught at the border, leaving the country with $28 million of cash in suitcases. Guys, $28 million of cash. No one has $28 million of cash. Even rich people can't just get.
Floyd Mayweather can only walk around with $1 million.
$1 million, $5 million, $128 million cash. You don't find that weird too?
28. Yeah, 28. Dude.
Or should be 28.
Yeah.
28 million. Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah, and then you look at, there's something else that I was reading this article. Actually, Tomer, one of my guys said, he's like, yeah, dude, you look at this, like, because I told him that we were talking about this thing. He's like, yo, you got to look at this GoFundMe. I'm like, what do you mean? There's 38 million bucks that Americans, so like, speaking of playing on heartstrings and corruption and all this stuff, so people around the U.S. have all started GoFundMes to aid Ukraine, and they're just pocketing the money. So there's this article out there where these people are like, Chris, let's start this GoFundMe for Ukraine and to aid their troops. And there's all kinds of different reasons why. There's literally 117 different GoFundMes totaling $38 million. No one knows where the money's going.
Crazy.
And no one can source who it's going to. Dude, it's insane. It's just a level of corruption. It just seems like it's just a big, huge scapegoat and a big, huge Trojan horse.
Yeah.
To siphon money through. And it's sad because here in the US, we have things going on here. We have inflation. And part of the reason why we have inflation, by the way, is because we've printed so much money to give to Ukraine. We've printed, I don't even know the number now. It's like $2 trillion or something crazy over the past year and a half, 2 years. Probably more, you're right. And you're talking about 128 billion, which is a lot of money. You guys won't even see a fucking 3 million in your lifetime. No offense. But that's like, it's on a thing, like 128 billion we've given to them. Well, part of inflation is printing money. Yeah. And we've printed that much money and gave to another country instead of keeping it here in the U.S. We have inflation through the roof. We have supply chain issues.
People are losing jobs.
People are losing jobs.
People. We have
infrastructure problems. I have potholes down the fucking up and down the road. It's, we have people's retirement savings, everything going to shit. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. Interest rates are at an all-time high. They've risen the fastest they've ever have. Home values have declined faster than they ever had. We're literally on the brink of destruction from an economic standpoint. That's just the reality of the situation. And I hope it's not true, but God damn it. Excuse my French. And I hate saying that, but geez, man. But we're going to go spend a bunch of money elsewhere and we're going to go give this. And look, man, I understand. Again, it sucks that the people are in this. I understand that we're giving them money, but when is enough enough? Why isn't there borders or parameters or someone governing this? Because the reality is maybe 50 billion is it, but 128 seems a bit excessive. I think for everybody, even pro-Biden supporters, I feel like it's a little much. Well, I know it's a little much.
For sure. And what is really heartbreaking too is people are just caught into the middle of this. But prior to, again, I just want to really reiterate that Russia did not just invade Ukraine out of nowhere. We're coming to defend Ukraine. No. We were putting a coup in, a new government. We were trying to create influence. We were trying to get NATO or Ukraine to join, which started it. And there was an opportunity where Russia actually wanted peace. They would go to the negotiating table.
I remember this.
And it was I think back March of last year.
Yep.
And the United States and Boris Johnson from
UK.
Yeah, UK. They told Zelensky, do not go to the table and negotiate peace. So not only were we the reason that Russia even was going to invade because we were the ones pushing the boundary.
Yeah.
But then we said no peace. Why would we say that? If we never fucked with Ukraine, let them be peace. You know, they've gone through many revolutions. They're some used to this stuff, but they were peaceful. And we came in and we fucked with them, and now people are losing their lives.
And it has to be that big for them to it has to be this big of a deal and get other countries involved and be on the brink of war to do the amount of corruption and to have the amount of greed that they have.
Yeah.
Like if it's a couple $100,000, you don't have to get into a war. You just siphon off a couple $100,000. It's called embezzlement. Billions of dollars goes missing. I mean, that's a problem. And we just had our DOD report their P&L. They lost, I don't know, $6 billion. I don't even know where it is. Where'd the money go? Well, shit. I mean, at some point, when is someone going to stand up and stand in? And it's like, do we have that level of corruption? Like, we're turning, no offense, but are we turning into Mexico? I mean, for fuck's sake. So I think you think about the U.S. specifically. What about us? Hopefully you feel that right now because I know I do.
Yeah.
You know, like real time. I mean, dude, we're making good money. We're crushing the companies. You're doing well, but it's like, dude, I feel it.
Yeah.
I've never, I mean, over the past, 10 years of being a human, I've never thought twice about fucking buying a carton of eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm like,
I've never even looked at the price. I've never even looked at the
brown ones.
Yeah. I don't need a coffee today.
Yeah. But like we make good money. We have money. Like whatever. Yeah. So it's interesting. And then, you see all of these crazy things happen. Like for example, in Ohio, I mean, there's our president, the most popular president in the whole world, 81 million votes, apparently. My ass.
Yeah.
Is in Ukraine right now, checking on his investments.
Yep.
Hanging out, signing more of our tax dollars over to this corrupted country.
Yep.
And then our former president, you know what he's doing?
He's going to East Palestine. He's going to where we had almost the worst ecological disaster
of our time, for sure.
Of our time, for sure. Where these chemicals, I mean, it's going to destroy this community. But the community was a smaller community. Mm-hmm. It was predominantly white. It was predominantly conservative, and it wasn't worth Biden's time. In fact, all you climate activists and people that claim to care so much about the earth and all this stuff, where were you? You were awfully silent. You were really silent. And I think that tells me all I need to know.
Yeah, you can kick rocks.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, additionally, when you think about, he literally went there, and this is what people say. Well, he went there because he's going to run again for president, so he wants to get their votes. Well, let me tell you something, sweetheart. Ohio's a swing state, and maybe that's a part of the reason. But the other reason is because that guy has a big heart, and he wants to help people.
Yeah.
And there's other things. Tennessee just had a uranium plant blow up. There's all kinds of things happening all over the country, of which our president needs the one answer for, but then also aid to. And he's nowhere to be found. Yeah. And our ex-president, albeit he plays a hell of a lot of golf. He's a pretty good golfer too.
Great golfer, yeah.
But he's out there helping, and he's spending his own money doing so. Again, hence what we talked about earlier. He's the only president in human history, or at least recent history, that has actually had left office with less money.
Yeah.
These guys are pocketing this. It's a level of corruption that is really hard to fathom. It's really hard to wrap your head around, Chris. And honestly,
and it's very disheartening.
It's evil.
Yeah.
It's fucking evil.
It's evil. It's disheartening. I mean, there is a point where it does make you feel like how do you beat it, right? And I mean, everything from COVID this last year, and for the record, I would like just to say,
go ahead. No,
I have to do this.
Go ahead.
I have to.
Yes, please.
I have to.
Please.
So New York Times just came out with the most, there was a study, the
New York Times, hold on.
The New York Times, a very liberal, came out that, guess what, guys? Masks don't fucking work. Not even your N95s. So these last 2 years, I was telling you guys that shit doesn't fucking work. And you say, oh, no, it does. And you were living like little sheep with your little stupid masks. I was fucking right. And some people are still wearing them and still defending it, and it is known that it's fake. But my point is, it's like I almost have lost faith in so many things. The only thing that's growing is my actual faith in Jesus and the Lord, because I'm like, shit, this is like so corrupt.
It's so corrupt. And then like you think about that, you think about the vaccinations that we have. And I know we got kicked off of YouTube for talking COVID when we were right.
Yeah.
They took our shit down. We're on Spotify, on Apple iTunes still, but they took our things down on YouTube because we were right, which is all of that stuff is coming right. The prophecies are being fulfilled and we're not fucking prophets. We're just leveraging common sense.
Well, and we question, and we've said, this has been a theme of unboxing. Unbox a topic, question everything.
Yes.
Don't just listen to one news source. Listen to dozens of news sources.
Yes.
And when something sounds fishy, when left and right are, the second Ukraine came in, I remember I was in Indiana and the war was starting. And I was like, something.
The fuck were you doing in Indiana?
Danielle's family.
Oh, okay.
Grandpa lives out there.
Sorry.
I mean, there was
I was like,
out
wait,
there.
hold on a second.
Wabash, Indiana. Anyways,
oh yeah, I remember.
But I reached out to some of my close friends who are also deep critical thinkers who like to question.
Yeah.
And everyone said something's fishy going on. So that was another thing that we knew that it's not as black and white as, oh, evil Russia wants to take Ukraine and just invade. No. It was.
Well, I think the reality that people need to understand is, guys, if Russia really wanted to take that country, they would have took it overnight. I'm telling you right now.
I do agree. Yeah,
dude, they are larger, stronger, better, faster.
Yeah. It's not even close.
It's not even close. And you think about like they're underfunded, which is why we're funding them, right? I mean, why else would we be doing this if they were some strong fucking world power? But they're not. You look at China and Russia are now joining forces, so much so that Xi Jinping, President Xi of China, was just meeting with Putin. This was last night.
Oh shit! Was it
last night? Oh, it's all over. Yeah, last night or the night before. You know how that works. And they were talking about a new world order. They were talking through, and this is again speculation and hearsay and all articles that I've read. I've tried to be as well researched as I can. A new world currency, which we need to talk through.
Yeah.
And they're talking about teaming up, and you got to be careful what you wish for, because you think about, like, I thought about this quite a bit. You think about like the debt that we owe China. We have $32 trillion in debt ceiling and all this other stuff. Like, where do we go from here? Do we just approve the next debt ceiling, or is there a great reset? How does a great reset happen? Is it a world war? Well, the people that we owe money to is China for the most part. It's over 17 trillion, which is over half or close to half, over half of what we actually owe. Well, is it getting in a huge war and then intentionally losing? Hear me out on this. Intentionally losing or losing, because God knows that they're stronger than us right now. With all due respect, I love you military folks, love our military, our veterans. I love everybody in the active military. But we have fatter, slower, weaker men that are trying to figure out if they're not working, they're not in the workforce, they have pink hair, they don't all they want to do is look at anime porn all day, they don't want to do anything. Well, and these Chinese and these Russian kids, you know what they're doing? They're fighting fucking bears. Yeah. They're learning how to assemble and deassemble AK-47s at the age of 14. What are our kids at 14 doing?
Watching
jerking their pud, dude.
Become a transgender child and
and
the I mean,
so then what happens? So we have all this debt, and I'm like, my grand theory is that we get in World War III and we're fucking part of the Chinese. I don't know. I mean, I know the American people are super resilient. I hope that never happens. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's like, why are we doing this? Why are we poking Russia when we had such a peaceful, and I know people gave Trump a lot of shit for actually staying close with Xi and staying close with Putin. But you know what the old saying says? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Yeah. And he did a really good job of that, and he flexed his power on him, of which you do. Yeah. Dude, if you're about to get in a fight that you don't want to be in, what do? You fucking bird up, dude. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You get a little feisty with that person, and hopefully they back down. I think that's what Trump did. Yeah. And right now we're the weakest we've ever been. So it's really scary. I mean, I know I went off on a tangent, but I really hope that you understand what World War III looks like, man, because it ain't going to be fought on someone else's shore.
No, for sure. And on your debt thing too, I mean, the United States has benefited that, the world's economy was US dollars, but we've decided that our dollars are not backed by gold or backed by anything anymore.
Yeah.
So to do oil transactions had to be in US dollars. So we just had a monopoly because we were America. But what Russia and China are doing is they're coming together to create a digital currency that's backed by gold and another one that's backed by oil. So, commodities, there's actually a tangible value to your currency.
It's a good thing.
They're trying, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But they're trying to basically make our currency go to shit because they know we're over leveraged. It's truly meaningless. If they can get the world to switch, America has lost its power.
Completely lost its power. Of which we've been a world power,
military,
the world leader.
Yeah. Then our military is going to, forcing the vaccine mandates, kicking military members out. They're pushing this transgender ideology on their people. They're removing the standards for our military soldiers so that, men and women can be at the same level. Like, guys,
it feels like we're selling our country out.
Well, and
it feels
I think we are.
I think we are too.
If you study the KGB and subversion theory, and this has been a 40-year culture war where they have infiltrated all of our institutions to literally brainwash Hollywood, academia, celebrities, you name it, and they brainwash our youth. They push TikTok is a Chinese app, guys, that is literally admits to spying. Where on our America TikTok, it is gay, transgender, blah blah blah. Theirs is mathematics,
science,
astrology, science, you name it, how to build stuff, careers, finance. It's intentional. This all goes back to it.
So we think about, just kind of in conclusion, so to speak, you think about why is this happening? Well, one, we told you the history between the Civil War, Russia, NATO, that kind of thing. So that's the origin of it. Again, it's terrible loss of life. It's not something that is exciting or fun to talk about.
No.
And these people it's sad that they're caught up in it.
I hope it gets resolved soon.
100%. And, I think we've given quite a bit from a country standpoint, but I think that we need to focus America first, not America last. And you think about the why. You think of greed, which is number one, which is what we talked about, backdoor, loopholes, the Biden administration, rules for me, not for thee. You think about, Trump versus the other neocons and other collusion type of administrations that we've had before and after.
Why everyone hated Trump so bad. I mean, it's like
why is that?
Why did everyone hate him so much? Was it because he was really that bad when he was a celebrity in our entire lives? Or was it perhaps that he fucked with the wrong people? He fucked with the wrong people
and he fucking opened, quote unquote, like we opened with Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Was it greed? Are we really trying to push World War III? Are we selling out our country? So these are things that you should start really looking with a keen eye on what's going on specifically when it comes to Ukraine. But I guess, where do we go from here? That's the tough part, right? Like, what do we do from here? Because, we talked about like vote. Remember when we said this, like, what do we do from here? And then we said, vote. And we voted.
And they still took it.
So what do we do? It's hard.
I mean, if you study history, revolutions happen from within. And you can keep voting and thinking that there's a hero on the right or left who's going to stop it. But one thing Putin has said, there was an interview with him and he says, oh yeah, they're asking about like Trump's ideas. Like, what do you think of Trump? He's like, oh, Trump's got some good ideas, whatever. He's like, but let me tell you what happens. He's like, I've been through 5 presidents. And he's like, all of them come in with a lot of good ideas. Then what happens is they get in their term and the men in black suits come in and they tell them how the world really works and how it really works. And all of a sudden, none of their ideas follow through. And that's been the theme of all presidents. So it's very, it is this. So I guess what we do, I think, as we've said on every episode, make yourself personal excellence, make yourself better, increase your faith, realize that you've been chosen to be at this time of life.
For a reason. And it's not even, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. This might get way worse. And if it does, that should almost strengthen your faith that there's a reason you're here, and you should not just comply and avoid conflict because it's convenient and it, avoids the uncomfortableness. No, you need to confront people. And when there's an ideology that makes no sense, you do not just comply because your employer tells you or your friends tell you or someone calls you names. No, you stand up for what you believe and you should fear no one but God. Dude, I can't say anything. It's hard to even add to what you said. The only thing that I do want to say is that you're right. You're here for a reason. The founding fathers were in their time for a reason to stand up against the Britain regime and create our country.
Yep.
And you can go through human history or through our country's history specifically. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they were here to uprise civil rights and to make sure for the people.
Bottom.
Sorry, you see what I'm saying? Like, everyone is here for a reason.
You got to change it from the bottom. I mean,
yes. 100%. Women's right. You look through revolutions, you look through wars, you look through things, times of peril and times of triumph. The people within inside of that specific blip in time are there for a reason.
Correct.
And they're there to either enhance it or make it worse. They're either to break it or they're there to build.
Yeah. You're spot
breakers or builders.
But the irony is that, in order for the people to come together to stop this corruption, you need to admit when your side or your person's also corrupt. When you used to have Occupy Wall Street, you mentioned the women's movement and stuff like that. Well, guys, a lot of you that people that do protest and are good at that process, Biden's your guy and you're being quiet right now. You got to question everything and team up with the other side, because it's going to start from the bottom to fix the top, not from the top down. There's no hero coming.
No one's coming to save you.
Yeah. So personal excellence, baby.
Cool. You're the man. Follow us on all these things. Be excited for all of the different platforms.
Subscribe to all of them. Please do. Please share. If you we're stealing from Andy Frisella here, but we're not going to run any ads. We're not here to make money. We're here to share ideas and create conversation. And if you found any value, please just share it. Share it on your story. Share it to your friends. It would mean a lot to us.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thanks,
guys. Take care. Good night.